What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso, joined as always by Connor Rogers for the first time in 2025. It's a post-game party. The New York Jets have won a game, 39-38. It was a wild-ass game today. Connor, how you doing? How you feeling? Let's get into it.
The rare post-game party. We almost had to wait till November or longer.
God.
I mean, really.
We got it in before Halloween, thank God.
Got it in before Halloween. Really fun win on a day where I think the Jets organization and fan base needed it more than ever. And against a team where, as you go through the motions of this, you enjoy the win, you do all the analysis and all these different things. Then finally, on my ride home from the city today, I was like, man, I put myself in the Bengals shoes. That is an awful loss. You just beat the Steelers. You have all this momentum. You think Joe Flacco might be able to keep the ship afloat until Joe Burrow comes back at the end of the year. And then you lose at home to the worst team by record in football in devastating fourth quarter fashion. I think it's good to kind of, look through that lens because it gives a little bit more credit to this Jets win. I understand the Bengals defense isn't any good, and I understand it's not Joe Burrow, it's Joe Flacco, but there's no Sauce Gardner today. You still have to cover Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. This team was down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. The improvements we've been begging for from Aaron Glenn, it wasn't perfect, but there was improvements. There was things that you were really hoping to see in in-game decision-making. It feels like Tanner Engstrand kind of pulled the right strings in the second half where this team had the right urgency, but the offensive flow still was used through the run game, and Fields was more confident than we've seen over the last couple of weeks. It was, and you see the emotions after the game with the team, the locker room, on a day that was a devastating one for the Jets organization and Jets fans with the sudden loss of Nick Mangold. I think everybody really needed this one today.
Yeah, to get the win today in these circumstances in particular, I think felt that much better for the locker room and for the organization and for the fan base. I don't know how you can be a Jet fan and be unhappy that the team won today.
I mean, no way.
With everything. I just, everything involved. And then also it was an entertaining game. It was a fun game. It's not like they won 9-6, right? They won 39-38. They battled
500 yards of offense.
They had 500 yards of offense, which, you mentioned Tanner Engstrand, and he's gotten some ups and downs of criticism here. First-time offensive coordinator, first-time play caller, his 8th game ever, 39 points on the road, 500 yards of offense, with his top 2 receivers being our guy, Tyler Johnson, and Isaiah Williams. Everyone knows how much we love Isaiah Williams here, but literally their second-best receiver today. And this was the offense that we were hoping we'd see when we thought this team could win 7-ish games, right? They ran the hell out of the football. Breece Hall, second half, looked like Breece Hall 3 years ago, right? That second touchdown run, that's why the excitement for that guy is always around. And Isaiah Davis, a player that we're a big fan of, made a huge impact in today's game. Never mind the huge run. How about the catch on the 2-point conversion, which was an incredible improvising by Fields on both 2-pointers, but that catch by Davis and to get the ball into the end zone. So their 2 running backs and their offensive line in particular, you have to be very excited about that. Good Olu day, good Membu day, good Tippmann day.
Yeah.
Their ability to control the line of scrimmage and keep Fields upright. He wasn't sacked today. He ran for 30-plus yards himself. This was the offense that we were hoping, where they are pushing people around up front. Breece and another back, whether it was Braylon Allen or Isaiah Davis, are able to make an impact. And Fields, for the mistakes he made, was able to push the ball down the field enough to create space in the run game. And Engstrand also schemed up some very creative things that got guys wide open. Jeremy Ruckert, 25-yard catch on a beautifully designed play. A couple other ones that just freed guys up, and they finally hit a couple screens a little bit. It was a very good Engstrand and day for the offense. And like you said, Glenn's game management, it's always a little bit of the bingo wheel. But in the second half, he hit the right buttons. And shame on me in the moment. This is why you shouldn't live tweet games. Initially being confused about going for 2 down 14. That is the right call, analytics wise.
It's a newer trend in the league for sure.
Yeah. And good on them for being on it. And when it works, it works. And it's why they won the game. And you have to give him credit when he hits the button that helps them win a game, just like when you give him blame when he hits the button that helps them lose a game. So it was a fun one. The defense we'll get into it, was not a great day, but made plays late when it counted. And I left feeling particularly encouraged about the Jets' young offensive coordinator, the Jets' young offensive line, their ability to run the football. And I'll say this again for Aaron Glenn. He hasn't lost that locker room, right? The Jets, the last 3 games are in all of these games. They won this one. They very easily could have won the last 2. It's before the bye week. Everybody's hurt. Very easy game to pack it in and just lose 40-20. And they fought back and won 39-38. So what he is saying is resonating in some shape or form, even if it's not perfect. And it's a nice one to have going into the bye week. What else are your thoughts coming off how that game ended and just which was an insane second half?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely, just overall impressed with the resolve and, like you said, that the team hasn't shown quit and that, it felt like even when they were outmatched in certain areas, because like, for instance, putting Azareye'h Thomas in a one-on-one with T. Higgins in that situation.
T. Higgins only catch today. That was his only catch.
Right. So I'm very curious to go back and watch the tape because it feels like outside of some splash plays, the secondary that was held together with toothpicks and bubblegum with no sauce today was solid.
Yeah, Jamar Chase, 18 targets, 90 yards. I mean, you sign up for that considering what they did to Pittsburgh. And I got to say, our guy Brandon Stevens, this would have been the game that you thought you'd hear his name a million times.
Never heard his name.
Which is the best compliment you could give him. And
yep.
Money's still the money, but he played well today. And he's played well kind of the past month now.
Once again, this isn't, and I think people will kind of misconstrue this, although we've been trying to emphasize it. Number one, we want things to turn around and we want Glenn to not be a one and done. And this is a really nice baby step towards avoiding that. And because it wasn't, like you said, if they won this game 9-6 and it just felt like it just wasn't the Bengals day, you'd be like, okay. But there was a lot of things to point at today on the road that you went, okay, like, let's start building something. Let's use this as a turning point. And that doesn't mean win every game, but that means compete and win a couple. And I think that there were legitimate positives to take away today because this was not a good day for the defense as a whole, even though we're giving the secondary a little love considering where the bar was set. But they finally got a game-ending stop. Yes. And that's something that has eluded them now for what feels like 2.5 years, honestly, with a lot of these guys in this core. So they got to stop when they needed one. And that's what people will remember rather than the 3.5 quarters before that. I thought the offensive line really, really just established themselves in this game that you can run behind them. And Brees and Isaiah Davis obviously made the most of that. I even thought there was some blocking from Ruckert and Mason Taylor, which is a really good sign going forward. With Fields, it felt like the weight of the world kind of came off of him when he finally just threw a ball when it was 4th down. The Bengals brought heavy pressure, and he just threw the ball in the corner to Tyler Johnson for the touchdown, where it feels like the last 3 weeks he just doesn't throw that ball. He just see it open or throw it open. The large difference in quarterbacking. That was throwing it open. And Fields never really does that very often, not since week 1. So once he hit that throw, it was like, okay, what's the worst that happens? Don't be so afraid to throw an interception or make a mistake. It's 4th down. You got nothing to lose. And honestly, this is a team that thought about replacing you. You really have nothing to lose against a defense that's not very good. And you want to use that as a get-right point where Olu pitches a shutout, Membu pitches a shutout. The run blocking is really good. Simpson, which was one of the funnier moments of the game, knocks out Trey Hendrickson. And then, felt kind of bad about it.
Yeah, he's immediately trying to help him up. And Hendrickson was hurt, man. They showed him on the sideline.
He came into the game hurt, and that really made him really hurt again. So there was just a lot of positives from this game when I think people will look at it and they will unfairly kind of pour cold water on it and be like, it's Joe Flacco and the Bengals defense stinks. And okay, we could do this all day. There was no Sauce Gardner in this game. There was no Garrett Wilson in this game. Justin Fields' confidence has never been lower coming into a game. right? Like we could do this all day. The bottom line is the Jets went on the road in a game that they were trailing significantly in the second half and found a way to win through their offense, and then got one stop from the defense when they just needed one stop from the defense, when they have a lot of young players back there that their heads are spinning. So, yeah, I think that it felt really good. If you felt really good for the team, you felt good for the coaching staff, you felt good for the organization, and it's one that I am more than happy that we're talking about tonight and look forward to going into the bye week this way. I mean, we're going to kind of let this win marinate for a little bit before we turn the page to when they come out of the bye.
Letting a win marinate for multiple weeks. It's a nice feeling. And look, 3.5 quarters to this game, I found myself incredibly frustrated with Jermaine Johnson, Quinnen Williams, and Will McDonald.
They just couldn't get anything going today.
Watching what was happening up front, they couldn't hit Flacco. And then when they finally got to money time and when they had a lead, each of them made a play, right? Will McDonald gets the third down sack. Jermaine Johnson gets the third down pressure on the final drive that leaves them in 4th and long. And Quinnen had a key run stop finally on that drive when the Bengals tried to catch them again after just gashing them all day. And it's not perfect, right? You know, Sherwood, same deal, right? He was terrible today and then makes a big pass breakup on the final drive. And was benched, which I'm sure we'll get more.
What happened
there? Yeah.
I mean, you have a team captain that you just gave a massive contract to, benched for.
That felt like a late for a meeting type deal, something like that.
It had to be something that was a discipline issue. And for a guy that the focus has not been good this year, this is. Now we're at the point of the season, right? And I know Jets fans are sick of always being at this point of the season too early, but let's be real. Like, we are evaluating, and as are the Jets, everybody in the Jets organization, they're evaluating who's going to be an answer to the problem and who to trim the fat off of. And the reality is right now, credit to him, and I'm not saying it's sustainable, guys like Stevens are showing a little toughness and mental fortitude that they can be part of the answer, or not a guy that you're going, I'll eat any dead money to not have him here next year. Like, there's a big difference where you look at a guy like Sherwood, and it felt like we had 2 weeks of that. We're like, okay, he's back. So that was definitely one of the larger disappointments to me of the game. While we talk about Briggs and Harrison Phillips being guys we'd like to see here next year as part of
Brownlee, game-winning pass breakup.
Brownlee, right? That's a great call out. And the fact that, Malachi Moore is getting his rookie lumps in now.
Yep.
But what I love about him, it doesn't seem like he ever changes.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure he was the one that completely misread the route combinations on the T. Higgins touchdown and just left AZ out there like, hey, good luck. Yeah. But you're right. Short-term memory. He comes out there just throwing his body around. He doesn't lose confidence. By the way, I don't want to forget this, so I have to bring it up now. And I think I texted you guys. I can't remember. I need to go back and make sure my eyes weren't deceiving me. And I said it before the actual touchdown was given up. On the drive that Azareye'h Thomas gave up the long touchdown, he was on the kick coverage team.
I'm pretty sure that happened, which is insane, of course.
Watching this, when I saw 23 flying down, and then in 19 seconds, he's lined up across from Jamar Chase. He gave up a catch to Chase right away.
Yeah.
Right away. And I'm not putting the T. Higgins touchdown on the fact he was on kickoff, but I'm thinking to myself, like, this is the kind of little coaching stuff that has to get better. Yeah. How do you have Azareye'h Thomas flying on the kick return coverage, the kick coverage team, and then trying to run around with Jamar Chase 19 seconds later? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So those are the little things that, the staff hopefully will have a better in-game handle on in these situations.
The staff, they seem to be getting there slowly, right? Like, the second half was very well managed by Aaron Glenn. They had all their timeouts. They were aggressive when they needed to be. Yeah. They hit their 2-point conversions. Like,
they killed a lot of clock on that last drive.
Yeah. It felt like finally they got into the right rhythm that they've been stuttering around and missing, because the first half was very hit or miss. And it seemed like he was in sync with Engstrand after that first conversion, which again, I blame on Fields because it seems like he checked out of it.
Yeah, it seems like they all kind of. The third and 2 shotgun run, though, Joe, I am going to just start screaming out windows.
It's got to go away. It's got to go away. It's got to go. We're so close, Tanner. Like, he's so clearly a very smart guy who can design plays.
We're so bullish on him. He's got the right ideas. He's creative. You can kind of see, like, okay, with the middle of the pack passer, he'd be getting a lot more love. This is just what he's dealing with right now.
Yeah. This guy's wide open all the time. It's like, it is encouraging in that sense. But yes.
And these guys wide open are barely NFL NFL wide receivers. So, by the way, it is kind of, and I don't want to make this like this kind of show, but Tyler Johnson and Isaiah Williams are out there catching pass after pass, and Arian Smith, who did get one at the end of the game.
He got one.
But it's like, man, he is just doing cardio for days. But yes, Tanner Engstrand is clearly a smart human with good ideas and moments of really understanding how to call within the game. And it's just the arrow in the Achilles heel is just these freaking 3rd and 4th and short shotgun runs that drive me nuts and have never worked in the last 3 years.
Yes, at least we finally got to a few QB sneaks from Fields. Like, he barely gets them, but they got to a couple like 3rd and short, 4th and short, where it's like, just fall forward in the A gap, man. It's going to work 9 out of 10 times. Like, don't overthink it. Keep it simple. And that, if you have that version of Fields, right, the Jets are 3-5 at the bye week, right, which is about where we thought they would be. And if you get that after the bye week, they're going to win a few more games, right? They're not going to be
wins.
They're not going to be the 2-15 or 1-16 team that we thought. If Fields, which has always been his problem, could play with any type of consistency like that, because you'll get Garrett Wilson back, you'll get Sauce Gardner back, you'll get other pieces back. It's a challenging one. This was a really good and fair question that we got in the Discord, right? Breece Hall was terrific today.
Amazing.
Now, is it the right GM move during your bye week now to use that to your advantage and maybe sell as high as humanly possible on him, where someone maybe watched that game today and was like, you know what? I'll give you the 3rd for him, not a 5th, because he still has it clearly. Guy ran for 133 yards, 7 yards a carry. Or, again, we don't know if that offer is out there, right? Maybe they're only getting offered a 5th or a 6th. And if in that case, all right, I don't begrudge the Jets for potentially holding on to him. It's just going to be really interesting over the bye week, coming off the vibes of the win and how Breece played. What do they do and what don't they do? Because there's been a lot of smoke about the trade deadline stuff, but they've been pretty public now that Jermaine's staying. I see no scenario where Quinnen's leaving. They were aggressive in leaking that it's going to take a massive haul, which I don't think they're going to get. So that kind of leaves Breece as like the only big name guy, right? And if you're trading him, or you're not paying him, and he's walking because you're not going to pay him, you're not going to franchise him, even though it's going to hurt in the short term from a roster building perspective, it does make sense to trade him. Now, you can make the counter argument again. Well, if you finally use him the way he's supposed to be used, he should be a part of the plan going forward. It was just one game, though, right? Are they going to do that consistently? Is that the Breece we're always going to see? Because Breece didn't look great in the first half. He looked elite in the second half, but it was only for a half. So that's the hard decisions that you have to make when you're managing and building a roster. And Muji's hit a couple dials in the right direction recently. The overall picture is not looking quite as grim, I think, as we initially thought, especially thanks to some of these recent transactions. I mean, God, even a guy like Williams is making plays now, who they added in season. It's just, this is a hard one. What do you think happens with this now, coming off Breece's best game in a while?
Oh, let me ask you a simple question before we do the whole thing. Would you want Breece Hall next year on a 1-year, $11.4 million deal?
My spit take answer is yes.
Yes.
Probably. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Think of all the stupid fucking money the Jets have given out in our lifetimes, more than that, on players that ended up being a nightmare.
Yeah.
So, and I understand I have definitely like kind of gone back and forth on this one with the vibes being up and down and very down and now a little bit up. I think here's the problem. I don't think the value is out there. That's why I kind of like, I'm not in the mold of, for a while it felt like they had just given up on Breece and they'll take whatever they can get at the deadline. And I don't know if that was always we've been bothered by the usage of Breece this year and everything that comes with that. And I think that when you look at this situation, it might just be as simple as the Jets, the best value for the Jets in this situation is just keeping Breece Hall, because there's a couple pathways. One, I've often said, if you're not going to keep him, you probably have to trade him for whatever you can get, because I don't know if his contract will really help you in a comp pick formula. But once again, you were like, what if they sell high for a third? Isn't that awful that that's what we're saying?
Yeah.
And I agree with you. it does feel like his value would be a 4th rounder and maybe you sell high for a 3rd. And then now that means a team that already doesn't have a ton of picks needs to reinvest a somewhat decent pick at the running back position because you're going to have a rookie quarterback playing next year.
Yep.
Are you really going to go into this season next year and be like, Isaiah Davis and Braylon Allen are our running backs?
No.
I mean, you've seen nothing from Braylon Allen to suggest that. And Isaiah Davis we really like, but I think we'd really like Isaiah Davis to continue being this kind of
He's a good complementary player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now, say you just reinvested that sell high pick at the position. What are the odds you're getting a player as good as Brees? It can happen. It's a running back. It can happen. But there's also a lot of misses in this league. Everybody loves to talk about, I mean, really like Alvin Kamara was the king of this argument for years. Everybody like, just draft Alvin Kamara in the 3rd round. Everybody does it. And then you look around the league and you're like, okay, who are the best running backs in the league? Okay, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor. All these guys go in the first 2 rounds. Yeah. Yes, you can build a backfield off of value. I understand that. But it just feels like the Jets are in a position next year where a rookie is going to be playing for this team. And a lot of the questions around the Jets after whoever that pick is are going to be, how do we set them up for success?
Yep.
And Garrett Wilson is here, thank God. The offensive line, I think, is going to be pretty capable.
Yep.
But you're going to have to go into this offseason and figure out number 2 and number 3 wide receiver. And that's probably going to take money and draft picks. Do you really want to add 1A running back to that problem? If this was a 2nd round pick, maybe the combo is different because you can reinvest that into a wide receiver and figure out a backfield. And it just feels like you're going to get such a poor return that this is so unique. The franchise tag is so hilariously low. I'm talking about the transition tag when I bring up the 11.4, which is the projection on over the cap. I don't know, Joe. It just feels like a scenario where the Jets do not win in any outcome that they trade Breece Hall. And breaking even would be the highest ceiling outcome.
Yeah, I mean, you trade for the mid-round pick and you end up with Michael Pirine or Izzy Abonaconda or something. I mean, we've seen this movie before. And with Breece, it's like, can you use him correctly? Can you get him going in the pass game, which they did a little bit today. And, he said it in the press conference after. He's like, I need 20 to 25 touches game. Every running back says and wants this, especially when, the lead receiver is out. But if he plays like he did in the second half, it's a different kind of equation. The ease with which he scored that second touchdown is where you see something special. And you're like, wow, imagine that with a rookie quarterback. Imagine how much easier that rookie quarterback's life is if you have that guy running around, catching swing passes from you, catching screens from you, ripping off 6-7 yards a carry. And then you keep Davis in the right role. I don't know. We always talk about the trade deadline a lot, and there always seems to be less fireworks than you expect. That very well may end up being the case. We'll see. We'll know by the time they take the field next at home against the Browns. And it was a very interesting day for the offense overall. My hope is that, particularly with Garrett coming back, there's certain concepts they could build on. Mason Taylor's box score won't jump off the page. I think it's 5 for 34 with his first career touchdown. But the catch on 3rd and short where he got leveled, holding on to that, and then, of course, the reaching over the defender, which I feel like we never see that touchdown for a Jet tight end or receiver, and like snatching it away. This guy's 21, right? Those are big boy plays in clutch moments. That's very encouraging. Ruckert has settled into a proper number 2 tight end who could block and catch when the ball is thrown to him, if nothing else. So you pair that with Tippmann and Olu and Membu and Myers, who's putting together a nice season for what they paid him in free agency. And, Simpson is what he is with the penalties, but it's a good overall unit. And now it's just about consistency, man, right? They got this win. They scored almost 40 points. I don't think anyone expects the Jets to score almost 40 points every week. But when you play Cleveland, right, can you score 24 points at home? And is that probably enough for you to get a win against Dylan Gabriel? Maybe it is, especially if you got Sauce back and some of these guys keep developing on defense. And, while I don't expect the Jets to go into New England and go into Baltimore to win, can you hang around? And then when you're playing the Saints and you're playing the Dolphins again, can you be the team in the second half of the year that a lot of us hoped you would be? And I know everyone is going to be freaking out about the draft implications, and I just don't. You can't live like that week to week, right?
Yeah, don't.
How you root does not impact how the team is going to perform. this guy is likely to be the coach next year. Most of this staff is likely to be back. And this GM is likely to be back. So you want to see more development and be like, you know what? Like these first 4 picks, these 4 of these first 5 picks look pretty damn good. And we got a couple other guys in trades. Maybe there's some building blocks here. And the coach.
Big Dolphins win.
Big Dolphins win helped. It's not like the Jets are sliding down these tankathon standings, right? And it's also not the kind of year where there's a conversation to be had about what quarterbacks you can get in the top 10. It's just too early in the year, man. I can't drive myself crazy with this stuff.
So I will tell you right now, I do this literally for a living. And I'm floored by the conviction that people keep asking me. I'll tell people how I feel now, but I'm like, part of my evaluation is going to be watching Ty Simpson and Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza in the college football playoff, right?
Yep.
I'm not going to watch them play the 57th best team in the country and tell you why they cannot be drafted by the Jets 3rd overall. Like it's a giant puzzle piece or painting, and you have to see the whole thing. And then you could start dishing out some real takes with conviction or finality. By the way, I have to do this to you, and I'm sorry you have to sit here and suffer through it. Can I read you the 3rd round running backs that have been taken since Alvin Kamara?
Yes, please.
It's very fun. Just to kind of put in perspective a bow on the Brees thing. All right, the 3rd round running backs taken since Alvin Kamara. Royce Freeman, Alexander Madison, Damian Harris, Devin Singletary, David Montgomery, good player. Darrell Henderson, Darrington Evans, Zach Moss, Keyshawn Vaughn, Trey Sermon, Brian Robinson, Tyrion Davis-Price, Rashad White, Tank Bigsby, Devon Achane, good player, Achane, Tajay Spears, Kendre Miller, Marshawn Lloyd, Blake Corum, Trey Benson, Caleb Johnson. How many times are you like, ooh?
Well, yeah.
Oh.
You're not getting someone, especially with the ceiling of what Brees can do. When even he's like
high round.
Yeah, we're also like being ambitious here, saying they get a 3rd. Like they're probably right now have only gotten offers for like a 5th or a 6th and are hoping to squeeze a 4. The 3rd is like the best case scenario because the team is just desperate and they always wanted him in their system. And it just does feel a little more like, I don't know, like it's here. Like we're going to know very quickly whether he's going to be here or not. And I just wonder, right or wrong, if Aaron Glenn's like, look, like this guy's going to be the centerpiece of our offense the whole back half of the year. And I'm trying to go out and go 5-3 down the stretch or 4-4 down the stretch. And if I take him off the roster, what am I saying to my locker room? And how are we going to score points? Because we know Justin's going to be up and down. We're probably going to see still another quarterback at some point. I know Fields was good today, but this is what he does, right? He has a great game, and then he goes off a cliff for 2 weeks. Then he has a great game. So we can't assume he's going to play like this every single week. I hope he does, and I hope he can be the backup next year. They're paying him. You want him here to be the number 2, and maybe
absolutely do.
A situational weapon as a runner or something. But you can't bank on that. So I could see internally to be like, our offensive coordinator is really starting to figure it out, and we're just not going to trade this guy for a 4th or 5th round pick. And again, easy to say in the hours coming off of scoring 39 points and getting your first win. And again, turning that game off, and I don't know if you felt this too, but sometimes like you just kind of feel like the Jets are going to win one. This felt like the Mike White game for me with the Bengals, where it's like, you know what, today just kind of feels like that weird day where once they like scored that touchdown and got to 2-point conversion, I was like, I kind of feel like this might actually be the game. And I wasn't like, maybe I'm just dead inside to an extent. Like I didn't think the Bengals were going to go down the field and score. Even when Flacco ran back on the field after doing whatever he did in the tunnel for a minute, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. Today it kind of flipped late in the game where I was like, this feels like they're going to get one now. What that means going forward, I don't know. I don't want to throw out the 7 losses because of the one game, but my God, man, if this team had just done like 2 little things differently, 3 little things differently, they're kind of hovering around 500. And then you wonder, like, all this dialogue about the one and done, which has all been fair. We've been part of it too. When you're 0-7, it's a real thing. And it's been a really bumpy 8 games, but at least for one day, this is how we thought it could look certain weeks, right? They were 6-point underdogs on the road today and they won. And you could cut it any way you like. They had the 2 guys they paid a combined $200 million to were not on the field today, and they still won. And they dealt with shit because of ownership commentary, and they still won. And that says something to the coaching staff and the locker room. right? This is not the team we saw against Dallas who laid down and died and just quit, right? We have not seen that since that game. Something has snapped into place. So
Yeah.
again, I
Pride
said
on the line.
Yeah, I said this in the little pregame party before. It was nice to watch them win. And I enjoyed watching them win. And there's enough young pieces here and guys who I think will be here next year in some capacity where the way they won today felt a little more useful going forward than some of their other wins have in the past. Like when they beat Snoop Huntley in Miami last year or Mac Jones in Jacksonville last year. This one felt a little different, a little better. So coming out of the bye, right? It's Browns at home, on the road Pats, on the road Ravens. I forget what's immediately after that one. I know their last three are
should be. Oh, yeah, the Thursday night football game is Pats.
Yep. Then Baltimore, and then what's after that one?
They are home against the Falcons, who are the most Jekyll and Hyde team in the NFL.
They've lost by 30 to the Panthers and Dolphins.
Oh, they've gotten smoked by two not so great teams, but they also pretty handedly beat the Bills.
Is that game in MetLife?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
November 30th.
Yeah. I mean, can you be 2-2 in those 4 games? Like that. That's kind of.
And then you play the Dolphins.
Yep. And they had the Saints not too long after that too. The Jaguars mixed in there too, who lost 35-7.
Here we go doing it again. No, I agree though. The problem is like, and it doesn't matter because they didn't, but they should have beat one of the Broncos or Panthers.
Yep.
And then
they should have beat the Steelers. They should have.
But like I'm talking about like formulating a little run here.
Yeah.
Because, and we've been killing them for it because it's eventually you just can't keep saying it. Glenn doing the Detroit thing. But Detroit was really bad the first year. And they did figure some things out down the stretch. And that's what we're rooting for right now is, can you figure some things out down the stretch and, kind of put together some better performances that don't even have to be wins, and don't get yourself tied in a pretzel over draft position right now because the Jets aren't going to go on some historic heater and win 7 games and
8 and 9, 7 seed, baby.
Yeah, right.
Dust it off.
Mean, I'll be the first to say I was wrong if they do. Yeah. And I don't have a problem admitting that, but yeah, I wouldn't worry about that right now.
All right. First post-game party in the books. Connor and I will be back in the normal midweek slot with the pod and War Room, and we'll have a full week of coverage. We'll come up with a couple different things to mix in the bye week as we sort of catch our breath after the sprint. We'll spend a little more time in the midweek pod talking about Nick Mangold. Both of us have worked with him. I wouldn't say we knew him well, but he's been on our show. I shared a video earlier. He's like the first actual NFL player I ever interviewed in my life. This video is still kicking around on our YouTube channel, and a lot of good things. Someone you heard nothing but good things about from anyone who dealt with him in and around the organization. For us,
teammates,
was always,
man.
Yeah, just
everyone just loved the guy, and that was a tough start to the day.
Yes,
it was a really tough start to the day, and it was, I think, an emotional day for the organization and the fan base. And we're obviously thinking of Nick's family and everybody that was close with him, and we'll have a lot, like, there's better formats for us to have Nick Mangold conversations. This was just about the post game today. I guess I could put this out there now. Because I was kind of skeptical, but I was pulling the guys and they're like, no, it is something really cool. I'm going to try, depending on resources during the next 2 weeks, because it'll be a kind of a project where I have to put some gathering into. Depending what I can scrounge up, I'd like to do a film room that is honoring Nick Mangold, because Meigs made a good point to me. He's like, man, there's some young Jet fans that don't even remember how special this guy was. Yep. And so depending on what resources I have, I would like to do some kind of film dedicated to just the player he was, and everybody has wisely honored the person as well.
Yep. A great player for a very long time and a great representative for the Jets on and off the field. So that would be a fun one to look at. And I think a good reminder to some younger Jet fans who didn't get to enjoy that, that stretch from 2006, really all the way up through 2015, where he was such a key part of everything they were doing, and actually some productive offenses that moved the football and scored points and ran the hell out of the ball. So 1-7 at the bye week for our New York Jets.
Better than 0-8.
Better than 0-8. 1-7 is better than 0-8. What were the Lions? They were 0-10 when they got their first win for our favorite comparison. So he beat them to the punch. Could the Jets social media get the video of Harrison Phillips carrying Aaron Glenn around the locker room. I've heard rumors of it. I need to see the actual video of it.
I know they haven't released
Let's
it
get
yet.
it. Let's get it out there. I saw bits and pieces of the speech, which were nice to see. But let's see him getting carried around the locker room, please. Let's enjoy these wins as much as we can. And to what we were saying last week, it was fun to watch all the highlights with my son today and explain to him that the running back can throw a pass to the tight end.
Oh man, Curtis Martin vibes, huh?
Yes, that was just
that was a pretty underrated throw.
Unbelievable, like double clutching it. And then
there was some kind of timing thing off on that play because Mason Taylor was open, but I feel like he kind of ran to the corner almost too fast. Adrenaline was probably pumping, so Brees had to wait even though he was open. And then credit to Brees for taking but you always say
taking the shot.
If you give the skill player an opportunity to throw, they are going to throw no matter what. As we saw Cooper Kupp throw a pick the other night on primetime, and Brees threw a good ball, and Mason Taylor. I mean, we've been screaming for the Jets to have some size in the red zone for 10 years, and it feels like they finally have it in Mason Taylor.
Good to be yelling in a positive way during a Jet game again, instead of just morbid silence for 60 minutes because there's no highlights and nothing to cheer about. So today broke that streak. Thank everybody for listening. We will talk to you soon.